This presentation is about base metal coins in the Danish monetary system, with focus on two major developments in the 19th century. In this period, Danish coin production was industrialized, which led to a massive increase in quality and quantity. Huge amounts of copper coins were issued from the last years of the Napoleonic Wars, and huge amounts of bronze coins were issued from the second half of the 1850s, when bronze coinage replaced copper coinage. These developments were part of the Danish monetary policy of the 19th century, which should create a new, stable, common monetary system, a unifying monetary system in the Danish realm. The Danish realm is in main parts of the 19th century, primarily the Kingdom of Denmark and the duchies Slesvig and Holstein. The presentation is based on studies of Danish coin production in the 19th century, which are compared with the coin finds from the location Kollekilde on the Danish isle Bornholm in the Baltic Sea. I'm going to talk about the following 5 topics which deal with the main developments in Danish base metal coinage in the 19th century. The coin finds from Kollekilde on Bornholm, base metal coinage before 1813, base metal coinage from 1813 to 1819, and base metal coinage in the second half of the 1850s, and then a little bit about the period after the introduction of bronze coinage. Kollekilde is Danish. It is cold spring in English. Almost 500 small coins have been found at Kollekilde through dredging of the spring and with metal detector in the area around it. Kollekilde is located in the middle of the Isle Bornholm, and around it the island's annual Midsummer Day market took place until the late 19th century, and coins were offered to the sacred spring. The offered coins were repeatedly collected for a church and a hospital on Bornholm until the very beginning of the 19th century. In the 19th and 20th century, the area around the spring was used for cattle shows, shooting meetings, and other activities. The coins found stem from these different contexts: deliberate spring offerings and accidental losses at markets, cattle shows, and other types of public gatherings. In this presentation, the 331 coins dating from before 1920 are put together without any contextual division and used as a case to show the development of base metals in Danish coinage. 330 of the 331 coins are small coins, petty coins, small change. I call them small coins. Only 30 coins are foreign. This is 27 Swedish and 3 Norwegian coins from the second half of the 19th century and a few from the beginning of the 20th century. These 30 foreign coins are explained by the proximity to Sweden and the common coin circulation which existed between Denmark, Norway and Sweden due to the Scandinavian Monetary Union from the 1870s. And by the important Swedish immigration to Bornholm from around 1880, many Swedes worked in the quarries of Bornholm. Before 1814, Denmark and Norway were ruled by the same king and had common coin circulation. So Norwegian coins from before 1814 are not considered foreign. It's not surprising that around 25% of the coins from the 17th and 18th centuries found at Kollekilde were produced in Norway after the discovery of the important Norwegian silver mines in Kongsberg in 1623. 71 of the 331 coins are of silver, and 258 are of base metals. This distribution generally corresponds very well with the development in the production of base metal coins in Denmark. As mentioned, I'll focus on the base metal coinage and finds from these 3 decades. Until the 1770s, only relatively small amounts of official copper small coins were produced in the Danish realm during the 17th and 18th centuries. These were not high priority coinage, and there was no copper mines to be used for coins, and the amounts produced were far from sufficient to become important in circulation. None of the copper coins from before 1770 are found at Kollekilde. The Danish-Norwegian Schleswig-Holstein development is in contrast to the Swedish one. Sweden had very rich copper mines and produced and used massive amounts of copper coins. For instance, the special Swedish plate money of copper, which were not small coins, not in any way. In the Danish realm, plate money was never produced. Only this unsuccessful trial piece from 1714 exists. Huge amounts of copper coins were produced in the realm in the 1770s and 1780s as part of the monetary policy that tried to produce and distribute enough of the smallest small coins to meet some of the never-ending and in those years definitely increasing demands. Almost 55 million pieces of 1 skilling with the year 1771 were produced in the realm in the period from 1771 to 86. And almost 3 million pieces of half skilling were produced. These coins became widespread due to massive demands, high production numbers, and a well-functioning distribution from 3 different mints. They had an attractive size, almost 12 and 6 grams, and they were quite handy. But this size became a weakness because rising copper prices, especially during the Napoleonic Wars, made their intrinsic value higher than their nominal value. Use of this copper 1 skilling was very widespread until the first decades of the 19th century, and it was a key copper coinage for the realm. The 2 earliest copper coins found at Kollekilde are this type of 1 skilling from this period. The inflation and the monetary reforms of the 19th century ended the circulation and importance of this half and 1 skilling. They were important, but not as important as the copper coins produced from 1810 to 1819, which included much higher denominations and were at the same time the only small coins produced. In 1812, more than 300,000 pieces of 1 skilling from the 1770s and 1780s were restruck to 12 skilling without any melting, casting, etc. at the mint in Copenhagen. This clearly shows the inflation in the realm during the wars. And this inflation led to the great monetary reform of 1813, which is known as the Danish state bankruptcy. This 12 skilling and the 3 skilling from 1812 were the first Danish copper coins with a significant nominal value. Times, solutions, and means of payment were changing during the last financially and monetarily very fatal years of the Napoleonic Wars. None of the more than 300,000 pieces of 12 skilling are found at Kollekilde, but 3 pieces of the 3 skilling are found. These 2 coin types and an also mass-produced 2 skilling from around 1810 were the first high-quality industrialized copper coins in Denmark. The newly erected steam-run mint in Copenhagen produced more than 4 million pieces of 3 skilling 1812, which were very quickly put into circulation and spread all over the country, including Bornholm. The Danish state bankruptcy, or the great monetary reform of the 5th of January 1813, put a lot of pressure on the Danish mints. Lots of new copper coins had to be produced. The monetary circulation in the Kingdom of Denmark around 1813 was chaotic and consisted of different types of inconvertible notes, strange small denomination notes, and very low quality small coins. Nothing was stable or well organized. The monetary reform meant that a large part of the circulating coins and notes had to be withdrawn and replaced. The older copper coins and the small coins of silver would be withdrawn when enough new small coins of copper were produced. The first coinage after the reform was 1 skilling, 1813 in copper. The mints worked around the clock in 1813, and they together produced more than 6 million pieces of 1 skilling 1813. The reform also created a new state-owned bank, the Bank of the Realm, Rigsbanken. The bank had many different monetary tasks, among others to manage coin production for the Kingdom of Denmark. The bank had obtained the right to issue so-called Rigsbanktegn, that is, tokens of the Bank of the Realm. They had 6 different denominations, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12 and 16 skilling, high denominations for copper coins, copper tokens. In practice, these Rigsbanktegn were small coins of copper produced for circulation in the kingdom, and they should be regarded as temporary, much needed small coins of vital importance. The mints quickly started producing these Rigsbanktegn, and already in the second half of 1814, sufficient amounts were produced to start the withdrawal of the pre-reform small coins of copper. The worst part of the post-war crisis seemed to be over around 1816. Therefore, the plan from 1813 to create a privately owned central bank was initiated, and the National Bank was founded in 1818 as a joint stock company. It took over the Rigsbank and was given a royal charter for 90 years, which included obligations in relation to the monetary circulation. Real coins of copper, not tokens, were produced again in 1818 and 1819, almost 2.7 million pieces of 1 and 2 skilling in copper. The diagram clearly shows that the decade 1810-1819 was a turning point for the development and use of base metal coins in Denmark. The 69 copper coins from this period found at Kollekilde are 21% of the coins from 1614 to 1919. The coins from Kollekilde are mainly the smallest denominations, but some larger Rigsbanktegn found their way to the area, demonstrating the wide use and importance of all the different types. The copper coins from 1810 to 1819 dominated Danish coin circulation, at least until the 1830s. They were high-quality coins, technically almost like modern coins. They were produced in huge numbers, they were widespread, and they had high and low denominations, and they were in demand in a society practically without circulation or production of silver coins. This necessary and highly important large-scale industrial production of well-produced base metal coins was possible due to the very early industrialization of the Danish mints. It started already during the Napoleonic Wars and fundamentally changed the quantity and quality of the realm's coin production, not least the base metal one. Previously, the base metal coins had been of low quality with respect to weight, shape and durability, and it was very difficult and very time-consuming, and that's expensive, to produce sufficient amounts of base metal coinage without the new techniques and the new machinery. The years from around 1815 until the 1830s were probably the period with the largest degree of copper circulation ever in Denmark. And this was only possible due to the mentioned qualifications of the new copper coins, and probably also to the economic recession during the 1820s. The lack of economic growth in the 1820s did not increase the demands for coins or the financial basis to start up investments or production. No small coins of base metal or silver were produced in the 1820s. This is also explained by the fact that the copper coins from 1810 to 1819 were almost sufficient to meet the demands. They probably provided some of the best demand coverage on small coins ever seen in the realm until the economic growth from the 1830s. Complaints from the public about lack of small coins are known from before the recession and again from the 1830s, but not from the 1820s. A major monetary reform took place around 1854. It included both large-scale copper coinage in the first half of the 1850s, and from 1856 the replacement of copper by bronze as metal for base metal coinage. The copper coinage in the first half of the 1850s consisted of almost 5 million pieces of 1 skilling and almost 600,000 pieces of half skilling, which is a lot compared to the Danish population. Several countries stopped producing small coins of copper in the second half of the 19th century. They replaced the copper with bronze, which was a new alloy for coins to most countries. Bronze was harder and stronger, and it was also easier to cast bronze than copper, and the bronze alloys could be cheaper than copper. Sweden, Denmark and Norway started using bronze instead of copper for small coins in the 1850s and 1860s. The Mint in Paris had for some years conducted large-scale production of bronze coins, and before starting their own bronze coinage, both Sweden and Denmark obtained information from Paris. The Danish Ministry of Finance in summer 1856 decided that the two lowest denominations of small coins, half skilling and 1 skilling, were to be made of bronze. The bronze coinage progressed quickly from December 1856. More than 9 million pieces of 1 skilling were produced from 56 to 58, and more than 5 million pieces were produced in the first half of the 1860s. They were very quickly distributed within the realm. In the beginning, they were sent directly from the mint to different public offices. And also almost 2 million pieces of half skilling were produced without any problems, since the procedure with bronze coinage was well implemented after the production of millions of 1 skilling. These high production numbers can be seen at Kollekilde. 33 specimens of the bronze 1 skilling from the 1850s are found there, which indicate the wide and apparently easy distribution of the coins of the new metal. It also says that when it's combined with the earlier information about Kollekilde, that the number of coins at Kollekilde can generally be related to the mint's output and to coin availability. The bronze coins greatly supplemented the circulating stock of copper coins, and they probably comprised the main part of the base metal coins in circulation already in the second half of the 1850s. The latest complaints from the public with demands for small base metal coins I know of from the 17th, 18th and 19th centuries are from 1856 and 57. In the second half of the 1850s, the domestic supply of the smallest small coins was sufficient, probably for the first time ever in a fully monetized Denmark. A sufficient supply is beneficial to monetary stability and economic prosperity. The introduction and massive production of bronze coins are therefore extremely important and constituted a significant change in Danish monetary history. This development with sufficient supplies from the middle of the 19th century was initially only possible due to the introduction of new techniques, industrialized mints producing huge quantities of high-quality small coins of base metals. The more general vital circumstances in Denmark were amongst others a firm monetary policy from 1813 and economic prosperity from around 1830. The economic and monetary policies were part of the government's general 19th century state building policy. There was no need for any production of small coins from 1865 and 66, but a new production of bronze 1 skilling and a silver 4 skilling started in 1867 based on withdrawn coins. This relatively small production of small coins in 1867 was the beginning of a new era in Danish small coins production. From 1867 until today, the only remaining Danish mint in Copenhagen has almost every year produced some small coins to supplement the country's now sufficient coin circulation. Almost annual small productions replaced fewer larger productions which were years apart. This was beneficial for the planning and operations at the mint. It was one of several steps in the 19th century towards modern coin production with more planning of the production and and a continuous supplementing of the circulation of small coins. The next important changes in Danish small coins production were the reforms of the 1870s, with the introduction of the gold standard, decimal coinage, the new krone and øre denominations, and the Scandinavian Monetary Union. The new system from the 1870s consisted of gold, silver, and bronze, which continued until the next important changes around 1914-1920. After around 1920, all the Danish coins are of base metal. As an example, cupro-nickel substituted silver. But the three colors were and are still used in Danish coinage. Now the Danish 20 and 10 kroner are gold-colored, but of aluminum bronze. The 5, 2 and 1 krone are silver-colored, but of cupro-nickel. And the 50 øre are of bronze and bronze-colored, or actually copper-colored, according to the mint. It doesn't matter, both materials have a long and important history as the smallest denominations in Danish coinage. To sum up, the first important copper coinage took place 1771-1786, but the turning point in the use of copper coins was the decade 1810 to 1819, when large-scale production of high-quality copper small coins with high and low denominations took place. The supplies of small coins were, for probably the first time ever, almost sufficient from around 1815 to the 1830s due to the economic development, monetary policy, and the newly industrialized coin production. The next major change in Danish base metal coinage was the introduction of bronze coinage in the second half of the 1850s. The circulation of small coins was supplemented with more than 15 million bronze coins from 1856 to 64, and for the first time ever, the stock of base metal small coins was sufficient to meet the continuing and increasing demands. This significant development was necessary for a change towards modern small coins production at the mint in Copenhagen from the second half of the 1860s, with annual production to maintain a sufficient supply of small coins. These developments were beneficial to the monetary stability and economic prosperity of the important 19th century. Thank you.